Cheaper by the Dozen 2, the unwanted sequel to Cheaper by the Dozen 1, which, as I said, I think may have opened alongside Starship Troopers, which was itself a remake of a 1950s production, which was apparently based on the true story of the Gilbreth family. Steve Martin plays a dad of, you know, a number of kids, as the title implies.
Would there be... hang on.
11.
Yeah.
And some of them are growing up and threatening to leave home, and so he's getting all, you know, worried about the brood flying the coop. And so what he does is, and this is convenient for the movie plot, he organises a trip to the house by the lake where they had some adventures before, and they go back there and rekindle the old adversities and competitions that happened before. See, amazingly, this is what now passes for a seasonal family festive comedy. I have a suspicion that at some point Steve Martin met the devil, and the devil said, okay, here's the deal. Your hair will go white and your career will go down the toilet, but your skin will not wrinkle. And what you have to do is you have to make these really mawkish family movies in which you play the father who is aggravated by things with his children. So on the one hand, you have Parenthood, right? Then you have Father of the Bride. Parenthood's funny.
Parenthood better than All Right.
No, it's a funny film. But then you have Father of the Bride, not good.
That's all right.
Father of the Bride 2, really not good.
It's all right.
Cheaper by the Dozen, really, really not good. And now Cheaper by the Dozen 2. And honestly, Steve Martin goes through this with the face of a man who is paying his dues. I mean, he doesn't look like he wants to be there, and believe me, neither do the rest of us. It's one of those awful, ghastly American confections in which you think, who's the audience for this meant to be? I mean, it's too kind of theoretically grown up for a young audience. They're just going to get bored. It's just a bunch of boring stuff about some stupid dad with white hair being a bit grumpy. The adults aren't going to enjoy it because it's completely infantile and dim-witted, and there's no funniness in it at all, even from Eugene Levy, who I think is, you know, very funny generally. The highlights include a dog biting somebody in the scrotal area. Well, that really, you know, had me laughing. And a return of the comedy mouse. I mean, it's like the gag about the mouse wasn't funny first time round. It's a rat. You know, wasn't funny the second time round. And in the end, everyone learns all these life lessons, and there's this stuff about the next generation and blah, 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 blah. You think there must be a certain amount of penance that Steve Martin has now. But now, coming up is Shop Girl, which is based on this novel by Steve Martin, which may well redeem it. And if you've ever seen the films of Steve Martin live, when he was playing with the arrow through his head, playing the banjo and doing I've Got Happy Feet, he's a real firecracker of a performer. But in this, he looks like he's in a coma. I mean, he literally looks like every now and then... You remember that spitting image puppet of... it was either Laurence Olivier or John Gielgud who would fall asleep, and then a hand would come in on the end of a stick and prod him to wake him up. You remember that?
No.
Dear, dear laddie.
I remember that.
Johnny Gonny. Well, fine. He would... And then a stick would come on and prod him. That's what Steve Martin's performance looks like. I mean, it's like he's got woodworm. If he stands still for too long, you would start to make a bench out of him. It's absolutely rubbish.